All right. So now you've taken some time to rank everybody on your team. If you're like most of the leaders that I've worked with over the years using this tool, this process, more than likely that page is already speaking to you. More than likely, you're already seeing some of the issues that happen with your team, why those issues are happening, and what you might need to do differently to prevent those issues from happening. So let's think about it. First thing I want you to do is look at each person on your team. And I want you to look across your chart, total the scores, and say to yourself, which one of those 4 standards has the lowest total score? Whatever the score is, and whichever standard it is, that is going to be the standard that I want you to work on with your group for the next 6 months. Hear me say that again. I want you to total the scores, and I want you to look at the lowest rated standard. And whatever it is, doesn't matter which one, I want you now to think about, I'm going to work with my team on this area to help my team get better in this category for the next 6 months. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this. Number one, why do you think I want you to focus on your lowest standard? Come on, DY, that's pretty obvious. Yeah, it's the area that's probably hurting your team and your performance the most. Now, realizing, in looking at your chart, you're probably going to have some people who do pretty well with that standard, but obviously those who don't. So this is, secondly, the thing I want you to think about. This gives you an opportunity now maybe to create a little internal teamwork where people who may be a bit better at a certain standard can help others. Number 3, the other thing I want you to do is probably a little different than what you're going to expect. I do not want you to come up with the strategy and the plan on how to help your team get better. Nope. I want you to take it to your team and basically say, team, I really want us to get better at this standard over the next 6 months, and I want you all to come up with ideas, steps, initiatives to help us get there. The reason I want you to turn that over to your group is, one, for group buy-in. The more the group can see that this is something that they have helped to get better at, that they have helped to improve, the more committed they're going to be to it long term. Secondly, it gives you another opportunity to see your group work together if you give them the challenge. And number 3, I found that more often than not, people actually figure it out. They find a way to get better as a group. So again, the first step, once your chart is done, is, once your chart is done, you're going to go to your team, get that team to work together to determine over the next 6 months, how do we raise our collective score in this, our lowest rated standard? Because once again, you as the leader, you understand that your standards matter and your standards make a difference. Now here's the next step. The next step is to take the same chart, but rather than focus on the whole group, now you're going to focus on each individual member of your team. And what do you think we're going to do? I'm sure you already guessed it. You're going to look outside that group standard. What is the lowest score each person has on the 4 standards? Or I should say the 3 remaining standards, right? So now let's again use my group. So let's say Sherry is one of my people, and let's say her lowest standard was initiative. Well, I'm going to now work with her one-on-one, you guessed it, for the next 6 months. I'm going to work one-on-one with her to focus on that one lowest standard. A couple of reasons for that. One, it generally takes people several months to not only change their behavior, but see the positive results of their change in behavior. Number 2, by committing that amount of time to it, I increase the likelihood that Sherry or whoever the employee is or the team member is going to get it. They're going to get better at it. They're going to improve. So again, developing your leadership philosophy, the second step on the roadmap is you identifying those 4 standards. You being honest with yourself about what matters most to you. You seeing the connection between people on your team being good at the things you think are important for success. And then you creating a 2-part plan. Part 1 is, how do I help the group get better at the lowest standard for the group? And then number two, how do I help each individual member of the team get better at the lowest standard for that individual? And I will tell you this, we have seen remarkable turnaround with individuals and teams by following this process.